Hello everyone, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Ultimate General Civil War and our Let's Play of the Union campaign, fighting through the Civil War on the side of the Union against the Confederacy, those separatists trying to break away from the Union. Thus far, we have been nothing but successful in our history as a general. If we were really this successful, I think the war would have ended some time ago, but you can see here we are to this point undefeated in battle. We have just fought the Battle of Stones River. We lost about 11,000 men that we are going to need to go ahead and replace. Good thing is we got about 16,000 replacements, so we should have enough manpower to replace our losses as we move into the Chancellorsville Campaign. You can see here the Battle of Chancellorsville is the next grand battle, but we also have three smaller battles that lead up to it. So the Siege of Suffolk, Namsmond River, and Supply Raid. These two battles were, I believe, quasi-historical engagements. Certainly the Siege of Suffolk was, where General James Longstreet and his corps of the Army of Northern Virginia was dispatched to North Carolina to conduct some foraging activities to provide supply, food, and sustenance north to the Army of Northern Virginia. The state of Virginia was worn out. Its fields were exhausted. The constant movement of armies back and forth across its territories was incredibly destructive, and therefore Robert E. Lee needed to look elsewhere to be able to gain supplies. And so he sent General James Longstreet to North Carolina with his corps to conduct foraging operations. He was able to push back some Union forces inside their garrisons along the coast, because the Union had taken several coastal towns in North Carolina. He was unsuccessful in actually liberating Suffolk or any sort of permanent areas, but he at least was able to gain supplies in many of those areas that were kind of quasi out of reach, given the proximity of Union troops, or at least was able to gain supplies from a hitherto untouched region of the Confederacy and send them north. In that sense, his mission was successful, but he didn't do it with the sort of brash and decisive and flashy way that General Jackson would so often. When you consider this instance of Longstreet's independent command, while the overall arching objective of the campaign was successful, it doesn't seem quite as dramatic as Jackson's Valley campaign, for example, because he didn't really defeat any armies. He pushed some Union garrisons back inside some towns, and that was kind of about it. Following that, we'll go into the supply raid, and then we'll go into the actual Battle of Chancellorsville itself. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get to work rebuilding our army, which was just pretty heavily engaged and lost some serious casualties. As you can see here, we had purchased some M1861 Springfields, the really high-quality, newest version of the Springfield. You can see its efficiency is maxed out. We had just purchased some of those a couple of turns ago using Reputation, as we could still do some more now, but it looks like we've actually begun producing the weapon. Up until that point, we had never seen any in the shop, which basically meant that it wasn't available to Union forces yet. Industry wasn't really producing it yet, which is funny when you consider it's an 1861 model and we're into 1863, but nonetheless, you can see now there are 1,200 in the shop as well as 17 in the armory. So we do have that available to us. If we were to use all veteran replacements, wow, that's a lot of money. I'm not going to do that. As much as I would like to keep this brigade at 100 efficiency, 100 morale, 100 stamina, 100 firearms, it's just not sustainable at that cost. I can't justify spending that much on replacements. So I think the first thing we're going to do is let's kind of see what we can get away with. If we increase this here, you can see we lose some on stamina and we lose some on melee. We're still at 100 for firearms. So we went ahead and added 277 soldiers, all rookies, with a marginal impact on the actual unit itself. So thus far, nothing too substantial. If we kind of keep going this way, we can see the stamina falls a bit. It continues to fall, the melee falls, and it's not until we get to another 132 that the efficiency drops off 100. So actually a few more than that. So we'll actually go ahead and just do another 119 rookie replacements, and then what we'll do is for the remaining 144, we'll spend that remaining 13,000 on some veterans to keep everything, at full 100% on efficiency and morale, to keep these troops the absolute crack of the crack. All right, so we've replaced our losses with the Springfield Brigade. We now have the Irish Brigade, which is slightly less skilled, but still a very good unit. It would cost about 16,000 to go with all elite replacements. If we go to rookies, you can see here we'll lose some, but frankly, I'm fine with that to save the money. Additionally, we're gonna... Well, that's a bigger hit. I don't want to do that for these guys. So maybe we'll get till the efficiency hits 90. So we'll do 140 rookies for the second Iron Brigade, and then we'll do 91 veterans as kind of a compromise there. Crocker's Brigade lost a lot more heavily. It has Lorenz rifles, which we may want to consider replacing out for something a little bit better now. But we'll go ahead and do a little bit. We'll do up to $13,000 worth of little over $13,000 worth of veterans. Gives us about 300 replacements, and the remainder will be rookies. Again, we're trying to mix and match to kind of balance cost against losing experience in the units. Do 10,000 worth of Buckley's Brigade. And then these other brigades I'm less concerned with. Not a huge impact to Harris's Brigade, for example. Neither is it for Pettit's Brigade. Garfield's Brigade will lose kind of heavily, but we've got to put a general in there anyway. Caldwell's Brigade, likewise, doesn't lose too heavily if we go with rookies. So just kind of going more along the lines with rookies across the board for the sort of mid-range experience units. We've kind of got that one elite core in our army, and the rest is very good in the first core, but certainly not elite. And we'll go with rookies for the cavalry as well. These are kind of I'm kind of torn on my cavalry. I'm half tempted to say let's go with some melee cavalry. So, you know, maybe even go with something like the Palmetto 1842s because that melee number is high, or the Colt 1855s because that melee is really high. I'm not a huge fan of my Sharps armed troops just because I don't find a huge use for cavalry in a skirmishing role. I think a melee role would be more effective, but I don't really want to spend, 23,000 re-equipping our cavalry at the moment. So we'll hold off there. So the first corps is all built back up. We need to go ahead and give this unit under Harris an additional attribute. So we'll go with the firearms course. Increases the firearms trait. We've got some commanders we need to fill out, but we'll do that a little bit later. Meanwhile, John Gibbon is now a lieutenant general, so we've got to pick out his final trait. Command radius, morale resistance, yeah. Or we can go with attacker, which gives more speed and stamina, or we can go with defender, which gives more cover and more melee. Let's see. I like the idea of leader. Speed, I think, is less important. The stamina maybe is important. The cover and melee are important, but we'll go with the leadership trait. And we're actually going to do the same thing for Lieutenant General George McClellan. So we have 2 Lieutenant General Corps commanders now, by the way. All right, so the rest of these troops are all going to be with rookies for these units. Again, some of these units are starting to gain experience in these other corps and become more valuable. Just not anything I can really justify spending a ton of money protecting. Okay. Especially when we lost so many men in that last battle. And we're going to have to, in some of these cases, you're seeing these weapons. We just don't have enough to re-equip these guys with weapons in stock, so in some cases we're actually having to go ahead and purchase new weapons as well, which is costing us some money. Okay. So the second corps is done building back up. We need to go ahead and give this guy a new trait. For the artillery, we're going to go with, do we want to reduce loading time, increase firearms and accuracy, or go with rotation speed, cover, and stealth? I'm less concerned with stealth for artillery. So we'll do this. Better firearms and slower or faster reloading. Okay, so the second corps is rebuilt, and now we're going to go on to the third and final corps. This is our least experienced corps, and also by now we've used up most of the weapons that we had in stock, so we are seeing more expenditures on weaponry. Got a few weapons, though, that we still have in stock, and also the nice thing is this corps still has a fair number of smooth bores, which means those are really cheap to replace. We actually had a couple of brigades in here that didn't even engage anything, which is interesting. Actually, these lower units, they're all just using smooth bores, so that was all free. Duarte, we'll go ahead and go with the standard morale and efficiency. That's the one I always like to go with for your first trait for infantry, pretty much 100% of the time. And there you have it. So now that we've gone ahead and we've rebuilt those, let's go ahead and get our artillery rebuilt. We're just going to get these guys all up to maximum 24-gun batteries. So that battery needed 2 guns, but we have them in stock. We've got 17 Napoleons in stock. So we can go ahead and purchase these guys 5 guns for free. We can go ahead and purchase 1 gun for free here. And then the first corps, actually we lost 1 entire artillery battery. 2 more batteries lost 6 guns each. Some 12-pound howitzers, some 10-pound ordnance rifles. Most of these had some guns in stock. We need to build a whole new artillery battery, though, here in the 3rd Division. So we'll go ahead and build one. I think we've got the most guns of the Napoleons of anything. And we do. We actually start with 11 guns in the Napoleon, so we can almost get half the battery for free. It'll be 16,000. I don't want to put a brigadier general in charge. We'll put a colonel in charge of a brand new battery of guns. Smoothbore Napoleons are the battery. Now, we can add a 4th division to all these corps, but we're not going to do that quite yet. Now, I know I did just spend a bunch of money without using my career points. That's because I'm not really going to donate it toward economy, which gives you a decrease in cost. I'm actually going to put 1 more toward politics, which gives you more money every time you win or what have you. And then I'm going to go ahead and put 1 more toward... We're going to put 1 more toward Army Org. 1 more Army organization increases brigade size. Or do we want to go with, like, reconnaissance? Or I'm going to go with medicine. Get some more of these... medicine allows you to get casualties back for free. So it does help offset any casualties you take in battle. So 1 for medicine, 1 for politics. You can see here our traits are getting very high at the moment. And then we've got to kind of reorganize some forces here. So Wright's battery, for example, has a major general in charge of a battery of artillery. I don't really want to do that. I'm actually going to put a lieutenant colonel in charge there. We lose a slight efficiency gain due to having a lieutenant colonel in charge of such a large battery, but I just can't justify a major general in charge of a battery of artillery. I think I've got a few other major generals who could probably be moved around. So Sidney Crocker, for example, in charge of Crocker's brigade. We don't need a major general in charge of a brigade of infantry. We can put Schlafling in charge. Meanwhile, Samuel Heinzelman is a major general in charge of the Iron Brigade. We're going to go ahead and replace him with John Sedgwick. He's a very capable commander, but he's only a 1-star general. And then we need to get some commanders into Garfield's brigade. We'll put Alfred Pleasant in there, a brigadier general. And we'll put a lieutenant colonel in charge of Gregg's brigade, Carr in charge of Gregg's brigade, which doesn't actually have any penalty there. So he's experienced enough so that he can have a 2,000-man brigade without any penalties. Meanwhile, in the 1st Division of the 2nd Corps, we've got, again, we have a slew of major generals now at this point. So we'll need to kind of reconfigure a few things here, but we can go ahead and put a lieutenant colonel in charge of the 1st Brigade of the 1st Division, again, without penalty. We can go ahead and put another lieutenant colonel in charge of the 2nd Brigade of that same division, again, without penalty. Okay. Nelson is also another major general in charge of a brigade. And we're going to buy, rather than putting like a sub-standard, like a major. I don't want to put a major in charge of a large brigade. So we're actually going to go ahead and buy a brigadier general. We'll go with Colonel Roy Meager. He's actually going to get a slight penalty for being too inexperienced. He's a full bird colonel, which I don't quite understand. But anyway, it is what it is. And then Torbert needs a brigadier general as well. So we'll go ahead and buy Jesse Pegram. So we're spending a little bit of money. We're getting some brigadier generals in charge of various brigades, and we've got a lot of major generals. So actually now we're going to kind of shake things up a bit. Andrew Porter's in charge of the 1st Division because he's a brigadier general. We're going to go ahead and put Kelly in charge, so we're going to have all major generals in charge of all of our divisions. The 3rd Division commander was wounded, so we'll give Heinzelman that command. And then the 1st Corps 3rd Division has William Franklin. We're going to go ahead and put Sidney Crocker in charge. So there you go. All major generals in charge of all of our divisions, which is good. And I'm debating if I want to start building out a 4th division in these corps here. We have enough major generals to do it. Just a question of if we want to. We don't have the manpower. So we could, for example, create a new division for free because we've got 3 major generals in various ranks. But again, I'm not quite sure if I want to do that yet. Actually, where did we put Meager? Put him over here somewhere. There he is. We'll go ahead and replace Meager with a Brigadier General. We have 2 Brigadier Generals in Porter and Franklin that are currently unassigned, so we'll go ahead and replace some of the Lieutenant Colonels that are running a brigade. So just a little bit of, you know, this is, I'm sure, exciting. Oh, wow, there's another Major General here. Alski. I know I'm spending money when I have, like, it's good to have a really good commander in charge of a brigade, but I'm trying to make sure that I've got the right mix. I don't want anyone in charge of a brigade that isn't a full bird, so that's kind of what I'm double checking right now. Full bird or better. Oh. A Hooker is a major general as well, and he's in command. I just don't have enough commands for all my major generals. I guess we'll have to leave them there. Carr. Okay. So there you go. And then do we have any colonels that are... No? Okay. Yes, sir. Alright, so I think we're in good shape now. Again, I've got enough major generals to build out some additional divisions, but we're going to save those for now, because I'm sure we'll take some casualties. Additionally, I want to build out another corps when I get that ability with my next Army Org acquisition. But given we're not going to do that now, we're going to keep some of these guys home and out of the fight. So you can see here, we've got several major generals, Krasnowski, Henry, Nelson, and Wright, all sitting out. We've also got a major general in Troy Webb who's recovering from an injury. And then we've got a couple of majors and captains and things like that. If we go back to the armory here, we've got $84,000 left. We've got some weapons here available that we can use to upgrade some of our troops. So you can see here we've got almost over 4,000 Enfields and over 2,000 Harper's Ferries. So our first corps is all rifled already. Our second corps is all rifled, but elements of our third corps are not. So we're going to go ahead and equip these guys with the weapons that we have on hand. It'll increase their efficiency, and they're all, you know, it's all going to be free because we've got enough weapons in stock for some of these units. Okay. So that second division is now all rifled. And I think we've got one more brigade worth of rifles. Yeah, the Harper's Ferries here. So the Harper's Ferries, that means we've just got 3 brigades left that are not using at least rifled weaponry. We have a large stockpile of 1842 Springfields with basically no troops using them, over 14,000. I'm not going to sell them just because if I do build out a new corps, I anticipate I won't have a ton of money just laying around, so we'll kind of keep those available. We'll also keep the Enfields and the Harper's Ferries to help replace casualties as we take them. The Hunter Sniper Rifle we're going to go ahead and sell off because we don't have any skirmishers. Sawed-off shotguns we're going to sell off because we don't have any troops like that. The Remington 1961s we're going to sell off because we just don't have any of those. Actually, we do have a few of those available, so maybe we'll keep those in case we decide to swap out any weaponry. I don't have any... Well, we'll keep the artillery as well, because we'll need a new battery of artillery in each one of our divisions if we make a 4th division. So I think we're good there. I know army organization isn't always the most exciting aspect of a game, but I enjoy it, and I think we're ready to fight the next battle. Now, I think the question is, what units do we fight the next battle with? I really want to get my corps commander to the next level, but it's also the most experienced force. I'm not sure if that's the right way to go about doing it. Anyway, the first battle we're going to go ahead and fight is the supply raid. So this is actually the first date. This is April 9th, 11th, and 14th. So we'll go ahead with the supply raid. A strategic raid has been planned in an attempt to cut Lee's lines of supply. You will command 3 cavalry divisions that belong to the Army of the Potomac, and your objective is to capture a crucial supply depot that is connected to the railroad from Richmond to Fredericksburg. You'll operate deep in the enemy's territory, so beware of Stuart's rebel cavalry. Okay. Well, it doesn't look like we get to choose what we deploy. It looks like we just get to take, I guess, some sort of... It says 6,000 soldiers, cavalry troops that are just given to us. We don't actually pick the forces involved in this battle, which could make things challenging because I'm guessing the Confederates may have more men than us. So a strategic raid has been planned in an attempt to cut Lee's line of supply. You'll command 3 cavalry divisions that belong to the Army of the Potomac, and your objective is to capture a crucial supply depot that connects the railroad from Richmond to Fredericksburg. You'll operate deep in the enemy's territory, so beware of Stuart's rebel cavalry. All right, well, here we go. We've managed to reach the supply depot unnoticed by Stuart's cavalry. Okay, that's... oh, I skipped it. Okay. So this is going to be Stoneman's raid, I believe, which ended in mostly disaster. Okay. I know, by the way, I didn't use all the money rebuilding our forces. But you bank it, you carry it over battle to battle, so there's no necessarily need to do it. Okay. These all Sharps armed troops. We've got a battery of artillery. And 3 Sharps armed cavalry units. I would much rather melee cavalry, but... also, most of these troops are fairly inexperienced, so that's not great. Okay, so the enemy knows we're here. They're shooting artillery at us. South Carolina infantry, huh? Let's try and flank them. I don't know what the enemy has in store for us. Intelligence said 6,000 men. Or actually over 8,000, I believe. So we'll see what's wide right. Doesn't look like there's a time amount. So we just need to take and hold the supply depot, apparently. I suppose we can go ahead and dismount these guys. Make some less conspicuous targets. Give them good cover. Have them shoot the bad guys. Have Davis go around. Stoneman will go up here. And the artillery will go up here. This is really an interesting battle, I must say. It's unfortunate the Sharps have such short range, but it just tells me capture the objective. It doesn't... oh, wow. These guys are heavily outnumbered. Alright, fall back there. 2nd Division is coming onto the field. Go ahead and deploy these guys over here. Dismount. Alright, so it looks like we might have an advantage on the left here. There's only a 1 skirmishing unit. They've got 3 strong regiments of infantry here toward the front. I would rather avoid that, so I'm going to go heavy on the left. We'll see. Get into the fucking woods, you guys. 7, 13, 10, 8, 5. These guys are in really strong positions on the Confederate side. The thing is, if I can come up their rear and hit these guys are in fortifications, but their rear is exposed. Alright. Okay. I've never played one of these battles with no time limits. I'm going to bring that one remaining regiment up to support Chapman. Alright, so we've pushed the skirmishers out. Go ahead and put our own troops. Actually, put Davis's unit in here. In this defensive position. Get back here. Alright. Okay, so we've started breaking through, or at least we're pushing the enemy back here. I'm going to go ahead and advance these guys across. I'm going to try and get some troops to the front of the 5th South Carolina and then get some troops to come in its rear. The enemy's skirmishers are kind of back in... What are you shooting at? God damn it, there's 2 enemy brigade or regiments here? Okay. Stoneman, get up here. Oh, nice. We should push some guys out of this defensive position, so we'll get McIntosh into these fortifications. Alright, dismount. Okay, so we've kind of got these 2 regiments, these skirmishers and this infantry regiment, again, caught between multiple... God, I'm wasting half my force. But everybody's armed with sharps. That's the one annoying thing. It would be really nice to have a bit of a mixture of groups. Okay, these guys are going back in? No, they're not. Okay. Get these guys in this fort now. We'll advance a little bit. Get everybody off their horses. Everybody get off your horses. Your horses. Alright, so we've secured the objective. We have to hold it for 5 minutes, it looks like. Rebels are pulling back. At least most of them. Come on, guys. I know you don't like to hold your position or anything against enemy counterattack, but please do. Stuart's cavalry is here. We're in trouble. Really? That was... great. Now we have an hour to hold, basically. I thought that was Stuart's cavalry. No, apparently it wasn't. Oh, God. Oh my God. Don't panic. Hold the line. Hold the line. Yikes. Okay. Actually, don't do that. Stay there. Come on, you guys. Recover your asses. Don't be such pansies. Running away. Man, my cavalry sucks. Do we have any supply wagons? I don't think we do. Oh, we do. God damn it. I didn't even know we had that. The enemy wants to charge us. Charge into the woods. That isn't the end of the world. Although certainly being driven back helter-skelter isn't great. Mount up! Is there any way we hold? Doesn't feel like it. Alright, get into these defenses. Oh shit, there goes our supplies, for sure. Better just capture the depot. We've got 30 minutes. And this is gonna, I think this is gonna be our first loss. Pretty certain it's gonna be our first loss. For fuck's sake, I didn't even get to, like, control what I got. What units I brought to battle. That's kind of the frustrating thing. Everybody get wounded now. Okay. All right. Alright. Any chance we can get back on this objective point? Any chance? We're moving that way anyway. Oh shit. I don't want you to melee there. Get off your goddamn horses and fight with your weapons. Alright, now we've got to hold it for a half an hour. I don't see that happening. They're already running away. Alright, so his cavalry's riding off the sunset that way. Oh boy. Why are my guys just walking away? I think Stoneman died. I think our commander just died. And the Confederates have retaken the depot. We've got 4 minutes. Actually, whoops. Fire into his flank. Okay. Oh no, Stoneman's still here. Get up here! You got 1 minute. No! Defeat. We inflicted almost double casualties on them, but we lost our first battle of the war. Oh boy. Lame. I think the only way we could have won is if we had attacked on the north, where the Stuart's cavalry came in, dismounted, set up a blocking force in these woods, and then delayed them a bit, eaten up their forces a bit, exhausted them a bit, so by the time they got into this open ground over here, they'd be less effective. I didn't plan that well, but I also didn't know it was coming. But it's a defeat nonetheless. Our first. Alright guys, with that, we're going to go ahead and end this this video here. We've just lost our first battle in the history of our Union campaign. Hopefully we'll do better next time around, but we've just reorganized the army, rebuilt the army, and fought the battle, the cavalry raid with Stoneman. Thankfully that loss didn't influence any of our forces because they were sort of other pre-selected forces. They weren't our own. So all in all, we lost, but it didn't really impact our ability to fight going forward, and we got a little bit of money for our time. So it is what it is. Hopefully we do better next time. Anyway, guys, thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.